Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some more. Have it in. Some more. Let's get some more.
Well, it is. Well, is it great? I think it's great. I think it's great to have everyone back. Thank you for showing up to your favorite public access whiskey review show, My Whiskey Den, where craft whiskey is king. And we are once again talking about a great craft whiskey, this time from the South, where we've run into one or two, but I have not heard of one coming out of Hotlanta. Or is that Atlanta? Is that name gone by? Has that dated me?
In a bygone era, maybe.
Bygone era. Yeah. Sorry, everyone. But before we go any further, Mike, tell our folks about our lovely things we'd like them to do today.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification to let you know when new episodes are coming out. And don't forget, every Monday, almost every single Monday, is a live episode, and usually one of our series of An Evening With.
Mm-hmm. Where we'll have distillers or people in the industry on to talk about their whiskey, what they do, and just have a few drinks to talk with the people and the fans out there. And today, like I said, we're talking about ASW Distilling. And Ben, I think you were the lucky person to pull this bottle for us. So I guess you're the benefactor. I'm sorry I didn't make you the screen.
I'll give you a pass on that one this time. So ASW Distilling out of Atlanta, they're fairly new. Basically, like a lot of good things like REM, they got started at a college. A bunch of guys hanging out, whiskey nerds, thinking that they can, you know what, why don't we just do this ourselves? We like it. So Jim Chastain and Charlie Thompson, and they added to themselves Justin Manglitz. So basically they got this started, and they're doing pot still distillations. They're throwing in some different kinks of their own, if you will. They're doing some really interesting finishings with bourbons, like taking heartwood from oak there in Georgia and doing a second finishing. They've got this. Each year they're putting out a special release that's a single varietal. So the one we're sampling tonight is what they call their Armeireaganach Series. This is the 2019 release, the Maris Otter varietal. And what is interesting about what they're doing is, they're doing pot still, but they're leaving the grain solids in throughout the whole process.
Oh.
And something you don't see done much at all. From my understanding, it's kind of an old way of doing things, and they're, I guess, reinvigorating that a little bit, but they're leaving the grain solids in throughout the whole distillation process. So
feeling like the guy who cleans the still is frustrated.
Probably so.
just feeling like his job somehow just got a little bit tougher all of a sudden.
Yeah, but they are winning.
Or he had no idea that there was an easier job at a different distillery.
Threw his broom down one day.
And this one is 57.6. So at cask strength, and like Ben said, an American Single Malt, right on the nose. You can tell it. You can tell it's a malt, or I'm not going to say you can tell it's an American Single Malt. I could see this being misjudged into a Scottish realm.
Yep.
Just on the nose, I wouldn't be able to peg American or Scotch on that.
It's got a gorgeous nose.
It's light, but grainy. You know, there's just a little bit of lightness to it. It's not thick or heavy.
I get a little lemon.
Yeah,
lemon or like a pear.
There's a little lemon. I get a little apple and pear note to it.
Yeah, I get like not caramel apples, but apple with some chocolate drizzled over it.
There's a rich honey note, and here's something interesting. I haven't picked up on this before, but I'm getting a note that just pretty much reminds me of straight up bubble gum.
I can see that.
Ooh, Okay, hold on. It was there for a second.
Yeah, it kind of
For a split
waves
second,
in
there
and
was like someone waved Big League Chew
Yeah,
under my
it's a
nose. For
flash.
like a
Exactly.
split second,
Yes.
like woof.
Yep.
Like your older siblings teasing you. You want
Yeah.
some? Can't have it.
And I
You can
think
have
that's
you can have these two strands. You can have the two strands that are left in the bottom of my bag.
yeah.
And this one has been doing well at the awards table, if I'm not correct.
Yes. Yeah,
This-
a lot of
this-
their whiskeys have, and this one in
Yep.
particular has as well.
And do we know how old this one is by chance? Not to say that we do for sure, just a crapshoot in the dark, maybe. Just since they're not too old, I'm guessing it's 5 years or under.
And it's all theirs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all.
It's aged in a combination of 53-gallon Char 3 and Char 4 American white oak barrels.
Char 4s.
Never chill filtered, no color added.
Okay,
But they're not giving any kind of age.
that's fine. As it's longer, it's going here.
Yeah.
I'm getting the caramel notes.
Yeah. There's no
like
green
a
notes.
flatbread. There's no green through the whole thing.
No.
This to me, this strikes a balance between a really good Irish pot still and a single malt.
Okay. The holy shit. The second half is like it's a flavor rush again. I'm gonna have to go back, but there's some spices and like a mint that rolls up in there. Really I thought the mint was a little prominent compared to, well, just because I'm not used to it in all of them. So I'm going back. Sorry, that thing had me for a second there. Light caramel, apple, honey. Then you start getting like a brown sugar note, almost like a molasses. I'm like a molasses cookie now that I've been letting it fade away more. A light little bit of sugar. Barrel notes for sure at the tail end here, especially on the finish. Definitely on the sides. Wow. And I didn't even get to the second, like the back half of it.
No. It's not heavy, but man, there's a lot of things going on in there.
Yeah, it's palm honey, crisp apples. There's a little lemon curd going on. There's some cardamom and some cinnamon. There's a really nice vanilla note that kicks in more on the back end than the front for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's so much going on with it, and this just it highlights another example of why I'm absolutely falling in love with American Single Malts, from Westland to Rua to ASW right now.
Yeah.
I like how it goes from
Cokegan.
Yes, it goes from the cinnamon that's in there for a bit, and then like when you swallow and air hits, it's almost like the cinnamon morphs into like a spearmint or a mint. Like just like a different flavor emerges when air comes up, and I'm getting like a minty finish on it.
Yeah.
And there's a rich caramel, almost a butterscotch kind, maybe, but it's like there's a rich caramel that's right in the middle of there on the mid palate. And I'm assuming that's got to be coming from that number 3, number 4 Char barrels. But
I'm surprised how drying it is on the palate. I don't know if it is for you guys.
yeah, it
When I'm
is.
finished, it's pulling the moisture off to the sides, and then I'm slowly starting to salivate again.
There's a really nice, and I think it's got a touch of funk to it, but there's a nice smoky barrel char note underlying all of this.
Trying to remind me if the middle of this reminds me of like a lowland.
I'm trying to figure
kind
out
of
what
an
this
oaken
reminds me
potion.
of. And it seems like it's like a not so much of a heavy pastry, but just like a pastry that's not it's not overly sweet, it's not overly dense, it's not overly anything. It's very subtle and layered, and it's like like a buttery pastry with apple and cinnamon and honey on it, and everything. It's like just enough of everything that nothing's overwhelming, and everything everything has its place, and you don't feel like I'm eating too much of this, I'm going to get sick. It's like enough, and it's all right, and everything's good. It's just not it's not overwhelming, but I don't mean to say that it's underwhelming, because it's not at all. It's just very nicely put together.
I think I saw the pastry with like apple butter and honey just drizzled over the top.
Yeah.
There's a bitter almond, almost like a green almond note to it.
Yeah. I get that too.
Now the nose, just going back, I'm getting a little bit of like a musty note, but musty as in like someone's library musty. You know, like
good musty,
like a dense richness to it, where it's not funky and weird, but it's like there's just, like I said, it's like enjoyable to go into the room. You know, almost like someone had been smoked cigars in there, and you walk in and you can tell someone had a good one. You're like, you just get like the hints of that in there.
I'm curious to see. I have yet to try this with any water. I just took a sip of water a second ago on the back end of a swallow, and what the water did for me on that, coming off of that, is all of a sudden I just got this rich caramel and vanilla note, just like I bit into like a caramel chew. It had some kind of vanilla cream center to it. It was, oh man.
This whiskey, if you were if I was gonna give this to somebody else, I would give it to them early on in the evening, because I'm afraid if you give something too high a proof, too spicy or anything before that, and it got in their palate, you would miss these great subtleties in this.
Yeah.
The water, like Ben said, really, it changes it pretty quick. Like I only poured a bit in. It's richer. It's definitely creamier. Like all through the mouthfeel. It just, that's right, Mike. That's the look.
Yeah, the nose went almost bourbon-like for me.
Like the caramel is like the caramel cream on it now. Like that came so much more forward. The caramel vanilla cream kind of mix. Yeah, you're right. This almost turned more bourbon-y.
Yeah, caramel cream with like Granny Smith apples.
Okay, that was a surprise, because on the nose I wasn't expecting. I don't know. I was expecting kind of something like a Blah Scotch, and I don't mean that bad, because there are some Blah Scotches that are very good, but there's so much stuff that's like pop, 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 pop. This had more pop to it, even though it was a nice kind of subtle thing compared to what we've had lately. Way to go, ASW, for as long as you guys have been out. I can see why you're racking up some medals. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
From just there, that's a very enjoyable dram. I don't know if I could have it every night, but I can't.
It is not a background whiskey by any means.
No,
I would not pour this unless I was going to sit and think about it.
And I might not think that on the nose, but once you have a taste, then everything starts mashing together a lot more and coming to fruition.
Yeah.
Very, very good. All right. Hey, that's an awesome one. And where did we get this one?
Seal box.
Oh, you got it from the Seal box. That's awesome. We're happy to support Blake. He puts out some nice stuff that we can't always get. I did see it a couple other places online. Prices all over the place. So it's weird to see like the normal prices for a few different places, and then the secondary in the last couple months, because like they are all over the place. Even just online, there can be like a $30 difference.
Yes,
and it's just cause, you know what I mean. It's pretty crazy when you start seeing that type of thing.
Yeah.
But well, I look forward to more stuff that they're doing down in Atlanta. I would, to be honest, I didn't know that there was a distillery in Atlanta. You should just almost assume that there's a distillery in every major city. Just take that into effect. But I didn't know that there was one producing such nice stuff. I mean,
Georgia's different though. They've got some funky laws that's made it very difficult to get distilleries going there, and that's why you've seen so few coming out of Georgia. So that's what I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware of them either until that popped up at Sealbox, and I was like, "Oh, who are these guys?"
It probably has to have the name Peach in it somewhere in order for them to approve it.
One of the few with water, I'm not going to say I like better, but I like it just as much with the water.
I think I figured out what might be the closest Scotch I've had to this, and that's the Aberlour Abunic, the Alba, not the sherry finish, but their bourbon barrel finished Abunic. It's got some very similar notes and profile to this.
Well, remember, fans out there, that it is not the size of the den, but it's the love of whiskey. So stop back next week and remember to drink with us then, and we'll drink with you, and we'll have another good time. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3.